Welcome to Popcorn Planet. It's Kim filling in for Andy while he is on vacation. We've got Andy here as well as Christopher Melcher. We have just watched the first half of the morning at the Rust trial regarding Alec Baldwin. I'm going to hand it over to these two guys and hear what you guys have to think, because it got a little bit crazy and we've got some concerns now about this case. Andy, Christopher.
Yeah, first, major props to Kim for stepping in while I've been out. You did a great job. You're doing an awesome job. Thank you. If we sound a little different, bear with us. But bravo, Kim. And I was watching as I've been traveling here to Phoenix. We're doing a meetup. And I know Christopher's about to leave too. So I'm glad we got to all catch, because this was some craziness that happened this morning. I want to just recap quick. I want to go straight to Chris to get this feedback, because the jury has now been sent home for the weekend early. And the defense brought up a very worrisome point that they weren't getting a lot of the evidence. They weren't getting bullets. There seemed to be a different case number, almost hiding evidence from them. Whether this really was real or not, it's caused massive doubt in my eyes on the prosecution, and therefore all of the criminal, crime scene investigative witnesses, which we've already seen. Christopher, we talked about this. Obviously, the issue with this case is whether Alec Baldwin pulled the trigger, but the defense now has asked for a dismissal and now has put a lot of stuff out there that I got to be honest about doesn't sound good. It looks like this investigation is shady. It looks like the prosecution is shady. And to be fair, as they said, I don't know if we have that clip. I don't think we got it, but there was a clip where he specifically asked the crime tech who they brought back, the two most important pieces of evidence are the gun, which is now broken, and the bullet, which they don't have. And then the other bullets, they didn't really even get all of the other bullets. While I know we both agree on this, it's Alec's trial. Did he pull that trigger? This is some massive doubt to suddenly be thrown. This is going to absolutely affect the case. No? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the charges against Alec Baldwin. This is a distraction that the defense should be doing. But ultimately, the question for the jury is whether it was reasonable for Alec Baldwin to take somebody's word that this real firearm was unloaded and then pointed at two people and cocked the hammer. There's no dispute that he took possession of the gun. There's no dispute that nobody showed it to him that it was unloaded. There's no dispute that he pointed at two people. There's no dispute that he cocked the hammer. Whether he pulled the trigger is also really irrelevant, because your standard of care of safety does not depend on whether you plan on pointing it at somebody. The standard is that you assume that a gun is unloaded until it's been demonstrated to you that it's unloaded. That's the first rule. Second rule is you don't point it at somebody unless you want to shoot them or destroy the thing. And then the third is keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire. Those are the basic rules. He violated all of them. But the thing is that it doesn't matter how the live round got on the set for the case against Alec. That's the purpose of a safety check, is to assume that the gun is loaded with a live round until you're proven that it's not. So the fact that there was this live round on the set, we know there was a live round on the set. That's how she got killed. Now, where this is happening is really Hannah Gutierrez's dad is trying to help her kind of save her bacon by blaming it on the supplier, PDQ, the supplier of the dummy rounds. So remember, Hannah Gutierrez's Reed's father, Mr. Reed, is a well-known professional armorer. And so during the investigation of this case, he went to his friend, who was a retired law enforcement officer, this guy Teskey, and had Teskey contact law enforcement. This is the supposed good Samaritan. This guy was involved with Hannah Gutierrez's Reed's dad, and saying, hey, Teskey, go ahead and contact law enforcement and say that you're aware that the PDQ, the one that supplied the dummy rounds, actually has some live rounds around. You should check on that. And so this is how this thing got kicked off. And it was really trying to divert attention away from Hannah Gutierrez Reed by making it appear that the supplier of the dummy rounds had actually given a live round. That's not what happened, but that's what they wanted on the Hannah's defense to set up. So now here, fast forward to Alec's defense, they're saying, well, hey, you prosecutor, you law enforcement were aware of this so-called Good Samaritan coming forward. You took some evidence, you took some information, and you put it under a different case number. You didn't really share that with us. And I agree, that was wrong. They should have shared it with them. Whether it's good or bad evidence, should have shared it with them. I agree with that. Obviously, the defense knows about it because they're raising it. The prosecutor made that point a few minutes ago. It's like, if they were surprised that this was hidden, how did they know to cross-examine about it yesterday? They knew about it.
Mhm.
So they're not surprised by this information. They're trying to take advantage of it. The
Correct.
prosecutor, final point, prosecutor is being attacked, for her ethics. And that's why she's in the weeds saying, this is what I did and why I did it step by step. And what she's forgetting to zoom out and saying, and by the way, this makes no difference at all. Makes no difference. It made a difference to the Hannah case. And maybe that's going to help her with her appeal. Makes no difference to Alec's case one bit.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It feels to me like they're like, well, yeah, there was a bunch of bullets that weren't logged that have really nothing to do with this, that now they know they didn't really get. It's under a different number. Oh, let's exploit that and really paint this sort of boogeyman. They're out to get Alec, which, let's be clear, I saw a lot of people in the chat saying this isn't fair to Alec. They're out to get him. And I think both things can be true in that this investigation maybe wasn't as proper as it should have been. Prosecution may have put their sights on Alec, rightfully or wrongfully, and all that could be true, but Alec still pulled the trigger. Like, that's what's so frustrating to me about this. While I can agree with all these sort of points, I still can't get past why did he let these idiots on this set tell him it was clear? The ineptitude on this set is as bad as his prosecution, in my opinion. So everyone who's mad at the prosecution should be just as mad at Alec for trusting these idiots on this set, knowing they left. A bunch of crew members left, right? There's a lot that happened on this set that was not safe. So I don't understand why he just allowed their word to do exactly what you said, which was to aim a weapon during a rehearsal at two people who should never have been there behind the camera. There were so many mistakes, and I'm frustrated we're not getting to any of that stuff in this trial, because I see it in the chat, and I don't blame you, chat. You're all buying the narrative by the defense, and I guess that's why Spiro is getting the big bucks in this case, because he's doing such a good job with those Jedi mind trick moves. Oh yeah, wait, Alec didn't get this, and right there, and why didn't they do this, and what? And you can just see prosecution is drowning. She is just so underwater in this case at this point that it's blown up, or even I'm like, there's enough doubt here. I don't know how this can continue. Like, this is just a mess. So I think we're all right. I think everybody's opinion is almost spot on. My next question to you, and I want to get your thoughts, Kim, but one more for Chris, how the judge is handling it. It really feels like she's just trying her damnedest not to dismiss, which I understand. But like, how much is it going to take for her to break and be like, we're out of time? I mean, they're not taking a whole day away. Is she going to have to add days to this? Can she? Like, what is your thought process on how this judge navigates this next phase to save face?
Well, this is an excellent judge, and she's not, for either side. What she is for efficiency and to make sure everybody's rights are observed. And she is upset because all of this crap should have been worked out before trial. They are on a very tight timeline. And honestly, this is how most trials should go. These things should go 4, 5, 6 weeks. It's not that complicated. But now a whole day being wasted here on something that should have been resolved before trial. So she's upset. That's why she took control of some of the testing of Popple. It's just like, okay, let me just get to the bottom of this stuff. And now we've lost a day. And to your point, we maybe have to add one, and that's not going to make her happy. But I don't think, her intention is to dismiss based on this evidence, what she's heard so far. I think she is frustrated. There were other problems we saw with the redactions before, were other problems we saw with the damage to the firearm during this testing. And it's just like black eye after black eye. But I'm telling you, and we all know, like when we follow these trials, there is no perfect investigation. So that's the job of the defense, is to exploit the weaknesses and the incompetency and to move the attention away from Alec. Because ultimately it comes down to, and I always use this reference, if the scene called for Alec pointing a gun to his head and pulling the trigger, I guarantee you, you'd have said, hey, let me just check this real quick. Can you check this for me? Because he knows he has no reason to think that there's a live round. That's insane that a live round was on that set. But he knew that blanks are being used because he was using those blanks in that same gun a day before. So he told the detective in questioning, I know blanks can kill. So the point is not, did he pull the trigger? The point is not David Halls and Hannah Gutierrez-Reed. The point is it ever safe to take somebody's word that a deadly weapon is unloaded without somebody showing it to you? And I'm talking 20 seconds to make that safety check. Is a life worth 20 seconds? Would 20 seconds have delayed this production? These are the questions that should be asked, not that there's some kind of magical thinking that happens on a movie set. Whoa, we're exempt from
this dude told me
from
it was
safety.
clear, so it must be
Same
clear.
thing. And here's the thing that I would do if I were the prosecution. I would call Alec Baldwin's personal assistant, and I would ask, does that Mr. Baldwin like his cappuccinos in a certain way? Oh yeah, he lost his shit one time when I didn't bring it with the goat milk or whatever in there. I bet you this guy took 100 times more care about how his cappuccinos were delivered to him than he did with his gun.
Oh, that's brilliant. That is 100% spot on. Well said. Kim, go ahead. Any questions for Mr. Melcher?
What do you think the possibility is right now of us seeing a mistrial at this point?
I see very little chance of any
Okay.
mistrial being granted. I think this is a huge black eye. I think that there are jurors on there who are suspicious of law enforcement, who think that Alec's rights were not observed, that he didn't get a fair shake. And this is cumulative, like both of you are mentioning, the damage to the gun, the other problems here. That is the risk that the prosecution takes, is the jury saying, you know what, you guys made too many mistakes. But I think the judge is going to let the jury make that decision.
All right. Yep.
Yeah, I
There
mean,
it
it
is.
sounds like that sums it up. I mean, that is exactly what's happening. There it is, chat. We will continue to watch today's fireworks with the judge, I guess, yelling at these two. Hannah Gutierrez Reed's, I guess, could get pushed now. Still unclear. My biggest question: how are they going to do this now? They lost a whole day. They already admitted they were late today and had to push Hannah. She's running out of time. Is the judge gonna be like, sorry, now you only get 3 witnesses.
Yep.
This is your last day. Is that how it's going to work, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the judge has to let the people put the case on and the defense put their case on. There could be some efficiencies here, but there certainly have not been very many efficiencies that we've seen in the questioning so far. So,
but sorry to
hey,
interrupt, but like adding a day is a very hard thing to do, right? Because then the jury has to be available. There's a lot of moving parts there that easily could fall apart, and I'm sure the defense would want to fall apart if they try to extend. So is that even a possibility?
Well, yeah, it is, because they were going to finish the testimony and closing arguments on Friday, and then the jury would go into deliberation the following week. So certainly all the jurors would have expected to go into that following week. We also have 5 alternate jurors. So if some said, hey, I'm sick or I can't go there to this extra time, they can just start pulling from the alternate. So they'll get it done. And look, we missed a day, they'll add a day. It's not the end of the world. They'll finish on Monday, the following week. And so I think the Hannah Gutierrez Reed thing is like, basically they're going to bring her in for show. They're going to be able to ask her name, and everything after that, she's going to take the fifth. And so I mean, there's going to be all kinds of arguments about that.
There was a lot of just the jury didn't even know she was convicted, right? That's a big part of information that both sides seem to be using. Do you think that's part of it too?
Well, I think they're going to bring her in probably a jail, a prison uniform. I mean, I don't know if they're going to give her the right to change into street clothes. She may be shackled. Who
does that benefit more? Is that going to benefit the prosecution or the defense to say, like, she's the one who did it?
I think the prosecution is bringing her in so the jury can lay eyes on her and to say, this is the person that Alec Baldwin said I relied on. And that's it, because she's not going to answer any questions that have any meaning to them at all, because she has a pending appeal. She has a constitutional right not to testify. That's already been determined by the judge. So I think they just want to lay eyes on it. This is the person that Alec Baldwin felt was, trustworthy enough.
We will see. All right, stay tuned, guys. This is your recap. We got more coming for you, so make sure you hit the subscribe and follow. It's Kim for all that she does as well. She's crushing it. Thank you, Kim. We appreciate you. Mr. Melcher, thank you for making time before you're out. We will be covering the rest of whatever is today, and then we'll be back next week continuing this case. Clearly, things are getting interesting, so don't go anywhere.